What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? It is your boy, Coach D Brown, former big leaguer, former first round pick with the Kansas City Royals. And man, we are back at it, man. Man, this is going to be a great week. We have had coaches, we have had, from all different parts of the country, East Coast, West Coast, down south, up north, and we've been doing it up and been doing it up well. So I'm just keeping this ball rolling, man, keeping this knowledge going and meeting some great coaches and learning about their background, learning about the schools, and we're not stopping. And today we got a great start to a great week, man. We got a great week of coaches coming on, and it's starting. So Mr. Poaches is starting with Coach Rucker Taylor at Davidson College, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Coach. I'm gonna let you go do your thing. Davidson College didn't sound right to me. For some reason, I thought it was Davidson University or University of Davidson. And, you had some famous alums come there. So when I was typing in it, I was like, Davidson College. I'm like, I've heard of Davidson many times,
right?
But I was like, I didn't know it was a college per se. So anyway, we'll talk about that. Coach Taylor, man, appreciate you coming on, man.
Absolutely, man. Excited to be here, watch a couple of these, and excited to be a part of it.
Good deal, man. So like I always do, I always, I got to learn about you, Coach. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go playing career to coaching career to, how'd you get to Davidson's head coach?
Yeah. So born and raised in South Alabama, Foley, Alabama is the town down there. Gulf Shores is kind of popular. Tourist area beaches down there, and Foley's where you're kind of like Davidson, Steph Curry. Foley's where Julio Jones is from. So that's a big thing down there. And there's some pretty good athletes come out of there, and Mobile obviously has produced a ton of great athletes, baseball and a lot of other sports. But grew up down there, played a couple of sports in high school, had the opportunity to go to Vanderbilt, and it worked out with my freshman year. It was Coach Corbin's first year. So we had a pretty good recruiting class the year before us. A guy named Jeremy Sowers was a first rounder. I got there with the Indians. A couple other guys off that recruiting class above us were very good players. A couple guys after us, you get some guy named David Price came in. And
some guy.
Yeah, some guys. I think they're recruiting at Vanderbilt, and Pedro Alvarez and Ryan Flaherty, two guys after him that became big leaguers and they had some pretty good careers. So I was fortunate in college to be around, obviously a really good coach. Eric Backich was one of the assistants there. He's now the head coach at Michigan. Derek Johnson was the pitching coach that actually recruited me from the prior staff, who's now the big league coach with the Reds. Mike Calitri with the Phillies right now. Mike Kohler is an assistant at North Georgia. Cliff Godwin, who's another North Carolina head coach at East Carolina, was our ops guy 1 year. And the crazy one, maybe the outliers, our ops guy the first year is a guy named John Williamson, who said he played football at Ole Miss, and we saw him shag balls in the outfits. I don't know if I believe it, but he actually won a national championship at Vanderbilt, the women's bowling coach. So there's some pretty successful. Yeah, exactly. Who knew? He's won 2 now, I think. So it's pretty good people and some really good head coaches. And I played with some good people. I wasn't very good, but got to watch and learn what some guys did at a high level, both as coaches, also as players. And went from there to Sanford University down in Birmingham, Alabama. My high school head coach was the recruiting coordinator there, and got to link up with him, Tony David, and the head coach there is Casey Dunn, who's doing an exceptional job. And those guys collectively really put that program on the mid-major map and done a lot of good things there. So I was really fortunate to be there. Again, be around some really good people, learn the game, some different things about it. And then at the time, Davidson was in the Southern Conference, same league as Sanford. And they had a couple assistants leave, and Coach Cook was really well thought of. Had some people that knew him. The connection was made. And again, was here for, I guess, 6 years as an assistant. And he gave us a lot of responsibilities. A really great learning experience about, how to treat people, how to run a program, and just, what it's like to be in an academic place. So I've been really lucky to be around really good people. I've been around some programs, whether it's Vanderbilt that hadn't made the SEC tournament in 10 years. In our first year, we're at the SEC tournament. Our second year, we go to Super Regional. Sanford, we went to the first regional program's history at that time. And same here at Davidson, we went to our first regional, then Super Regional in 2017. So I've been fortunate to be a part of some cool places and some cool places that have gotten better in the time I've been around. It's just fun to watch and be a small part of that.
Man, you've been around some names, man. I mean,
yeah, I've been fortunate. Just some good people, man. Just good people.
Let me ask you this, man. And I'm gonna talk about Davidson in a minute, but let's talk about Coach Corbin. You said you were the first class to come to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, so
right?
his he did not recruit us, and there's some guys in our class that weren't very good. They probably would have recruited, but his first year was my freshman year, so that was a really cool learning experience to see the change and what him and the other coaches put in, and just listening to the other players. Like, man, this is different. This is different. But that was looking back. I thought I wanted to get into coaching at that time. My dad was my little league coach growing up, and some of his good friends were part of that, and had a great high school coach. So I was around, again, a lot of kind of mentors, I guess, in the coaching world, and looked up to those guys. And hey, man, athletics can really, it becomes more of a lifestyle than a job or work. And I've been fortunate that's kind of been the case for me, in that that this coaching thing is probably more of a passion or a vocation, as opposed to just, hey, I'm going to go to the job and check it out. It's not, I'm going to the field today, not going to work today. So that was a really cool experience to be there with those guys. Again, Coach Backus, Coach Johnson, and Coach Holder with that first staff. It was a really good group. Really good group.
Yeah, I was wondering because I was like, so you were going. Corbin didn't recruit you.
No.
So I'm about to ask, because I mean, and I tell kids this all the time. If you're like 25 and younger, you just think Randy was always been the powerhouse. You know what I'm saying? And I was trying to tell these kids, like, yo, if you're about 35 and older, Vandy was nothing. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know they even had a baseball team. So, and I don't mean no disrespect to you, but am I right? Like, so you must have been extremely smart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You must have been a smart dude and went there for education aspect, and then you inherited this guy and so so that had to be a great experience, huh?
It was. I got really lucky that we got a lot better once I got there. Yeah, if they were what they were now, they never would have recruited me. And a couple of guys in my class were pretty good players. And what's been really cool is seeing those guys. And we've got a group text from the chain kind of around when I was there, graduated in 06. And there's 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that are coaching. Some guys that are assistant GMs.
Wow.
Buddies are, they're big league coaches, and this is their first year in the big leagues. Weird year for them. One of our guys, Mike Baxter, is now an assistant back there. Another guy, David Macias, is an assistant back there. And Ryan Klosterman, who basically played second one year. He played short, and then he was. I sat behind him for a couple of years, but he's the head coach at Bryant University. So it's really cool, seeing those guys on TV, seeing those guys have success, but also just being able to bounce around, things off of each other. With college coaches, with professional coaches, and obviously the front office side is a whole other world, and those guys are give a different perspective on it. And what's been really cool for our team here at Davidson this past summer, several of those guys have been able to hop on Zooms with us, and we've got a lot of guys that are interested in the front office once baseball is over, once the professional career starts, and for those guys to give advice, and not just a standard 20-minute, hey man, do this, do that, but those guys are actually giving out their cell numbers. Hey, give me a call. And one of our influencers called me and goes, hey, I was able to talk to so-and-so, and we talked for 30 minutes about this, and that, and it's just really cool. So, again, good people, and you want those people to have success, and it's really not a surprise to see some of those guys with their work ethic, the type of people they are doing that.
I think I'm kind of glad I brought this up, because I think that's a huge selling point for you and your program, that your network, you know what I'm saying? Your assistant GMs, big league coaches, Coach Corbin, you're a Coach Corbin family tree, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. I definitely think the fact what you're saying right now a little bit kind of give me the goosebumps. I'm like, man, if I'm a high school kid and I'm trying to get recruited, and here this guy walks in and he has this wealth of knowledge, and like you said, not at 90% of those guys will never go on to play professionally, but if you want to be a part of the pro game, here I got connections, you know what I'm saying? And this is that's pretty cool, man. And shout out to Coach Corbin. I think I can't remember who just put that, but I think my boy AD, but he said Coach Corbin recruited him and as an assistant at Clemson, and I was Coach Corbin was the first person from a college baseball standpoint, my sophomore year in high school, to recruit me way up in the tournament in New Hampshire. Yep. I was up there playing, and I think he's from out there, and I think he was. Yeah, I think he was looking at some kid, and he saw this dude out there banging away, trying to bang away at least, and he started reaching out, man. And yeah, man. So yeah, good deal, man. So we got Let me give a little people a shout out to the people listening in, and then we're gonna get with this question. Mr. Poacher, New York, what's up? Danny, what's good? Coach E in Florida, what's good? AD Jersey in the house, what up? All right, Bo, what's going on? Florida in the house. Happy birthday, Bo. I think today's your birthday. Definitely, I think I saw that on Facebook. All right, my ex-teammate of mine. Bubba, what's going on? Alabama in the house. All right, we got Wayne ATL in the house. We have, all right, Russ, what's up? Jersey in the house. All right, let's see what else am I missing. Jansen Cali in the house. All right, and I'm sure there's more than I'm missing. All right, Jeff, what's going on? Tennessee in the house. And all right. Bryant was good, baby. Was good. Was good. All right. All right. So Davidson, location. All right. We got. I ain't gonna lie. I just asked this in the background because I didn't know this. I had a feeling, but where is Davidson located, Coach? Please.
So it is just north of Charlotte, North Carolina. The college, Davidson College, is in Davidson, North Carolina, and man, it's quintessential college town, man. The town is the college is the town. There's a the legend has it. There's a city ordinance, town ordinance, I should say, that the downtown skyline is like 7-8 buildings that have been there since supposedly 1910. You can't alter those at all, and it's all mom and pop kind of stuff. So it's a really cool. Very friendly, I think very welcoming, very warm place. And, then you go 2 exits either way and you got every, fast food, major box change you possibly wanted. Well, I think it's pretty neat. Charlotte's 20 minutes downtown. And, as you and I are talking about the Bending, with the Charlotte Knights down there and the beautiful ballpark they have, there's some athletic stuff between them, the Hornets, the Panthers. There's some really cool stuff, much less NASCAR and golf and a few other things. So it's I feel very much like I'm in a small town, and you pop up 1 exit either way, and you got everything you possibly want. So it's a really good spot. Lake Norman, which is supposedly the biggest man-made lake in the Carolinas.
I heard it's beautiful up there.
Yeah, it is, man. It's funny. It's man-made. I think they built it late 50s, early 60s, and 550 miles of shoreline. And man, you'll see some houses that have been there since the 50s. And they said that the legend is when they built the thing, there's some areas that were already depressed a little bit. They just went in and just knocked the trees down, flood them. So the legend is, there's some farms underneath there. There's some houses that are under there. So I'm not getting any kind of scuba mask going to go see it, but there's also literally a road that just goes and just stops at the lake and goes underwater. Then you'll see some of the MJ's got a place out there that's just it's everywhere, and some of the NASCAR guys have some pretty big houses out there. So it's a really cool place to go and boat and ride around and check out. And the colleges, we're really fortunate. We've got what's called the Lake Campus, and all faculty, student, staff, you go to Davidson, swipe card, you can get out there, more or less from dawn to dusk and hang out there. So it's a pretty cool perk to have here.
Yeah, I saw, I don't know, it was MTV Cribs or one of those type of things. Mm-hmm. And I saw one of those NASCAR drivers, and they said they all kind of live in and around there. They had huge houses on the lake, man. And I like I said, I had another friend of my business-wise who had a house up there, and they talked about how beautiful it is up there, man. So yeah, man. So that's awesome. I know that's going to be a great recruiting tool. So I got a question come in. My boy Bo says, how many times would you like to see a player before you pull the trigger?
Man, that's a really good question. And that's, I know you talked to some other coaches about just the impact of this quarantine and Division I schools not going to get out, Division II not being able to get out right now. We might overthink it, and I talked about this a touch at the beginning. For Davidson specifically, if that Division I roster limit is 35, we're going to have 35. We're not going to have 40, 45, 50, and we're not going to cut guys at Christmas. We're not going to run guys off because of performance. It just doesn't happen. The way our school's built with the academics, we're just not doing it. So for us, we probably maybe nitpick a little bit too much. We might wait a little bit longer. We've had some guys like, Coach, so-and-so have offered me, we haven't seen all your academic stuff yet. We're never going to offer a guy unless we feel great about them being admitted. And that's not the easiest process here. So for pitchers, our pitching coach is Parker Baines, who's a South Carolina product. Actually, was in the Royals organization. He was a UCLA guy, I think, his second year. And he said, once that happened, it was game, set, match, and time to become a coach. But okay. Conversely, he's done an incredible job keeping our pitchers healthy. And he was at Presbyterian College before here and was going to hire him for several reasons. And at the end of the interview, I was talking to his old head coach, Elton Pollock, and because, Manny's like, none of our guys have gotten hurt here. He's kept them all healthy. That's a huge thing. One, for the players individually, but two, for us, man, if we have two guys blow out, we can't just go grab that junior college guy late. So we've got to keep our guys healthy. So Parker's done a really good job with that. He knows what he wants in pitchers, and sometimes it might be a touch easier to see that on video. We still want to see him in person. We want to see a game video, not just, hey, I am in a bullpen off a rubber mound. Hey, there's a 91, but the ball is, just hitting the bull back there. So we've been a little more aggressive is probably the wrong word. We've probably seen guys at bats less this summer other than just video. Normally, for us, we try to see, at least 10 at bats, probably over, 2 different events if at all possible. But this summer, a lot of it's just had to be off of video and live streaming. And our recruiting coordinator, Ryan Munger's he's done an incredible job, and he's watching a live stream, seems like every day. And, I text him, hey, man, he goes, hey, let me call you right back. I'm talking to, a 21 or 22, right? Let me call you back. Or, hey, I've got a video I'm watching, let me get back to you. So we've, probably as most coaches, we're doing it differently. We're still trying to make sure we're getting the right fit, and that's academic, that's as a person. And, at the end of the day, if the baseball talent's not quite what we think it is, the kid's willing to work hard, he wants to be here, he fits here, we think we can get him a little bit better. Kids got all the talent in the world. This is a bad fit for him or bad teammate. I mean, how that is. You can't overcome that. So, to answer your question, we are normally, we want to see a guy pitch 3-4 times, if at all possible. If it's a hitter, man, at least 10 at bats over multiple events. Just tough to do right now. And our pitching coach, we feel pretty good about him going mechanic. I really like that one video. We want to see at least some kind of live stream game if at all possible. And if not, we haven't had to make that decision yet. Hopefully it's not going to have to happen. But as much video as we possibly can, especially with the hitters, is a wonderful thing.
Man, I love it, man. We've had a few questions come in. All right. Save me for my questions. I'll save mine for the last. But let me get them right away. I usually try to talk and take up all the time, but they're coming in a little bit. There's a couple good questions coming in. Boy Poke said, Tom Feen, former Royals outfielder. He was an outfielder at Davidson, right? Tim, and Poke must have had him when he was over there coaching with the Royals. So, yeah. All right. Lorenzo Spencer says, does a kid have to participate in Perfect Game, PBR, or Baseball Factory to be noticed by a coach? Those recruiting services are highlighted so much, parents think this is the only way for the kid to be recruited.
Yeah, really good question. I think it's even amazing to me now that the different numbers of services that are out there. And I think a lot have good intentions, and some, some as a parent, as a coach, you probably can look at the volume and the lack of specificity for your program. You probably know, man, they don't really know what they're kind of mass blasting. I think for a parent, at the end of the day, if your son's really talented and you pull out the old cell phone and you get 20, 30 seconds of it, man, most of these coaches are pretty good. They're going to get an idea from it. I personally don't think you have to do those things by any stretch of the imagination. I think the beauty of maybe Perfect Game and really PBR maybe specifically, we've got some great PBR leaders in this area. The guy that runs North Carolina is a former collegiate head coach. A lot of those guys who work for both those companies are really good. I think if you look at PBR's model, those guys they're making money when they get subscriptions. They're getting the subscriptions if they're putting out good content. If they're just putting out, stuff that's not good for us as college coaches, we're not going to go to those events. We're not going to subscribe to that. So I think if you can get a PBR or a Perfect Game event, because you're getting unbiased information, on that day that that's what it was. It wasn't the high school coach saying, hey, it was this. It wasn't mom or dad saying, hey, he's a really good player. He runs a 3-7 home to first. Because you'll get that. And you're going, man, he's a 1-6 pop. That maybe. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of those guys, and I think what we've fallen back on during this time period is the people you trust, it's relationships you trust, whether it's a scout, whether it's a summer coach, whether it's a high school coach, whether it's another coach, and I think that's something that's really important. There's been some guys that we recruit and we maybe decide at the end of the day, hey, this guy isn't quite the right fit for us. Maybe this guy we committed first, and we always tried to, the guys that have been, we think, good in the recruiting process, we always try to offer our services as Davidson coaches. Say, hey, if Coach X, Y, or Z hasn't seen you, here's our cell, here's our email. Use us as a reference. And we're gonna be honest with them. We're not gonna say, hey, if this guy can't play at Davidson, I'm not gonna call Coach Corbin at Vandy and say, hey, you got to take this guy. Right. Much in the same way, Vanderbilt with Coach Corbin with backs, they've called us, but hey, we don't have room for this guy. He came to our camp. We liked him. Or like with Furman University when their program shut down recently, Coach Corbin called on behalf of a couple of those guys. So I think that's something where if you trust the people, if you've got a reputable high school coach or reputable summer ball coach, that's a really important thing. And I think we lean on that as much as probably more than any kind of mass service. But long answer to your question, I think it's a really good question. Man, if you've got just a cell phone and you can take video of that swing, take him off the mound, and if he's off the mound, you can just show the radar gun, the Rapsodo, the hitting, same thing. You've got blast. Again, all that's an investment financially. But if you borrow somebody for a day, we don't have grad school here at Davidson. So, long story here. But we've got a couple of our guys who are looking to grad transfer next year because they can't be here as fifth years. And one guy literally said there's hitting his video, and we're kind of chopping it up to make it what he wants it to be. It's basically cell phone video. We're gonna put some Rapsodo on it once he gets back, and we're gonna call the college coaches for him and say, hey, this is what he is. This is where we think he can help you. Here's the video. Make your own decisions now. We were fortunate for them, unfortunate for us. But our first baseman, he's graduate transferred to UNC, so he'll be a Tar Heel. And our second baseman's graduate transferring to Michigan. And Coach Backich, that relationship there. And as a coach, it's tough for me to say, hey, I know this guy can come in and do this, or this for you. I can say, hey, this is what he is. Here's his synergy video. This is what his metrics are. I can promise you they're great kids. I can promise you they're going to work their tail off. If you think that helps, run with it. So, we've kind of had to do that for our guys. That's probably spent the first couple of weeks of shutdown doing that more than worry about our own stuff. And, you see different sides of coaches as recruiters, and we just try to say, hey, this is what he is. I'm not going to tell you what he can or can't do for you, but this is what it is. This is the video. So, again, I think that's a really good question. I do like Perfect Game. I really like PPR for those reasons. But, man, if it's just a stopwatch, and don't hide the stopwatch and reset it and pull it back up. But, man, there's the 60, there's the home first, and go with it. I think that could be just as easy as anything.
Yeah, it's funny. A couple of things you just said. I love what you said about it. Sounded like your help pitch one of your players to
Oh yeah.
So it's like it doesn't stop, because it sounds like that's what I be saying about certain kids to you guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And here you are, I got to say it to other college coaches. That's funny. One, and then two, I like when you say stopwatch, and you kind of get out there, and some of these parents, like you said, PBR is good. I'm glad you kind of say these things, but some of these bigger ones, they blast out all these emails and stuff like that, and you guys ain't stupid. You guys know that you ain't the only one receiving this, email, and it's not personalized. So, I'll be quiet on that. We had a big discussion about that last week, so I'm gonna be quiet on that type of stuff. So,
I would say too, within that, especially if you've got the ability to go in and see who's committed where. Man, if your mom and dad, log on, see how many other right-handed pitchers are committed to that school you really want to go to, and not just look that year. Look the year before, the year before that, and two after. So, there's nothing wrong with going and competing. Hey, man, you compete at the highest level, man. You want to see what you can do. But also, there's some, hey, I really want to get this education. Man, make sure you're putting yourself in the right situation. And I think you can use Perfect Game and PBR for that reason also. That can be a tool on that end. That's a great asset.
I think that's a great tip you just gave. You know why it's a great tip? And as bad as I talk, or good or bad, I talk about it. But somebody was like, we were talking about a particular school last week with a kid, and I think one of I think a college coach is like, yeah, go on, boom, and see the recruiting class, and I never do that. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, so I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, well, this is good for something. You know what I'm saying? To see. Yeah. So parents, I hope you guys listen to what he says. So when you liking a school and you want to see the situation is, and you just, before you even start reaching out to schools, you know what I'm saying? Just go see what the roster is. How many kids? And he said before, you know what I'm saying? The last year, the recruiting class, the year or two before, and the recruiting class that you're in, and the one that's coming up, especially the bigger schools, they are going way down the line, and they got commits galore. So great tip, Coach. Appreciate that. Let's go here. We got Russ says, how many kids are on the roster from North Carolina? How many kids on your roster went to your prospect camps, or do you mainly recruit from perfect games or summer tournaments?
Yeah, really good question. So I think that's a cool thing about Davidson is given the academic requirements here, we've got guys from all over. I have not looked at the numbers this year specifically. Last year, I believe we had 9 from North Carolina, I think 18 different states. So we are truly, so it's really, and probably my favorite recruiting event I've ever been to was out just south of Seattle. So I've been out to Seattle to watch baseball. So
Wow.
we're really fortunate in that because we have a national academic brand for sure. Basketball is on the national stage. I think last couple of years, baseball-wise, we've grown our program. So now we are getting emails from kids from California. We'll get a random, a Nevada occasionally. We've got guys from Arizona. So I think our roster last year, I like telling the story, if you look at the U.S. on a map, we had our shortstop was from Hawaii. So we had a Hawaiian. Our DH was from San Diego. Our midweek starters from Texas. We had a senior lefty from South Florida. Obviously, some guys up and down the East Coast. We've got a guy this year that'll be from Boston. We had a Jersey guy last year, maybe 2 years ago now, I guess. Then we got a guy from Minnesota, and then our starting catcher and our Friday guy were both from Seattle last year. So we're truly all over the map. So I think that's really cool. You get to see baseball. Baseball's played differently too, man. You play some West Coast is a little bit different game, especially in college. I think guys, they're different kind of athletes. I mean, you get in the Midwest, you get in the Northeast. There's some dudes that are inside a lot. They get on the mound, and there's some big dudes coming downhill with it. Then you maybe go to Florida, especially with all the ex-professional players that are living in Florida. You maybe see some guys with some really good actions. And then maybe you get some spots where they're great athletes, but the baseball skill set just isn't quite as refined yet. So I think this year we've actually had a decent number of recruits from the state. We feel like we got a really good recruiting class from in the state. So it might be a tick higher this year from North Carolina. I think we'll probably be closer to that 15 or 16 different states this year. But, still got the West Coast, the East Coast, and the Hawaii. Never recruited a kid from Alaska. That's probably the only one that I've never seen. But we'll get some interest from Canada. We've got we've had guys email from France, from Italy, and that's probably not in the recruiting budget. But again, it's just that national name Davidson has academically, and basketball's had a lot of success internationally too. I think they've kind of set a nice little precedent for that. Coach McKillop runs some camps and clinics and has really made some connections, and kind of like we just talked about. It's who do you trust? He's got a network overseas that he trusts, and I don't know if they're flying over there to see those guys, but they've had some really good guys come in and help them win a lot of games. But I think
I'm impressed, dude. We talked about this. You told me, and I've told you I've had about 5 North Carolina. I even Winthrop. I count them because they're right next to you guys. And but it's so much competition. 19 Division I schools in the state of North Carolina, which is amazing. So I would think, I guess you almost. Again, I'm impressed that you're all over, but I'm also like thinking that why you need to go somewhere else. But I guess with all those schools, you kind of have to, branch out and get some kids. But you have one of the most diverse rosters I have had as far as guest wise, coach wise, which is impressive. I would never have guessed.
Yeah, it's cool. You hit on the head. There's 19 schools here. There's a lot of really good baseball here. You look at the Power 5 schools in the state. It's Wake Forest, it's Duke, it's North Carolina, it's NC State. I mean, those are some really good programs. You go 2 hours south, and it's South Carolina and Clemson. Some really good baseball. For us, we've probably got to for that reason. And also, man, our school's average ACT, depending on the years, are 30 or 31. So, I mean, you just can't go to the local Legion game. Hey, I like that guy. We'll take him. It's coach. I guess great. Oh, coach, he's got great grades. He's got great grades. So, all right, let's see it. He gets it's not even close. So that's where again, just trusting those people that know what we need as Davidson, athletes, and that's a big part of the picture. And I think the second part of that question is a really good one. And this is one that I feel pretty strongly about. And I ended up at Vanderbilt because I went to their winter camp, and I played probably a touch better than I was. But for me, I got to spend 2 days there, and I loved it. I had an offer to go to South Alabama, which at the time was a much better baseball program. Coach still there. He's done a heck of a job and great guy, and really.
I had a couple teammates with the Royals from South Alabama.
Yeah, okay. Really good program. And so, like John Lieber, Marlon Anderson, Juan.
Marlon, yeah, I'm about to say Marlon. Yeah, I was just in my mind. I was like Marlon. Yeah, Marlon went there too. I didn't play with Marlon, but I know he went there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is some really good guys go through there, and I would go to their camps, growing up, and learned a lot about baseball, but knew I liked it there. But went to Vanderbilt, man. I'm 5'10". I'm an average athlete. Like, playing big league ball wasn't for me. I wish it was, but it wasn't. And, I really valued the education that Vanderbilt offered, and just loved the campus. And so I was fortunate enough to, hey, I went there. I loved it. A couple other places I went, so maybe some schools that had expressed some interest. Went, it just wasn't the right fit. So for me, if I'm a mom or a dad, and realize camps cost money, there's no question about it. But a lot of schools are doing now like one-day showcases. You come in, you get a feel for the coaches. We do one in January. I think we charged $50 last year. So again, it's just a financial investment to get there. You got to travel, you got to get a hotel in some cases. But for me, you get on campus, you get to interact with the coaches. We tell our guys all the time. Our team last year, we had 20. I think it was 22 of our 35 either played in a camp, one-day showcase, or a outside group played on our field. It was an event here. So for us, man, you're around your coaches or your teams all the time. If we got bad dudes in that locker room, it's not worth the headache. So for us, if I don't like coaching him, that means we're going to have the exact same thoughts on everything. But if I'm not excited to see those guys every day, I'm not going to be as good at my job. The chemistry's not going to be there. It's just not the right dynamic. And as I told you earlier, we can't cut kids, so they're here. We're stuck with them, right or wrong. So for me, man, the camps are a huge thing. And for us, if we're trying to talk to this guy or another guy, and the guy says, coach, like, I'm going to come to camp, and I'm going to spend my $200, whatever it is. I'm going to get there because I want you guys to be around you. Well, if that guy's willing to make that sacrifice, as other kids go, well, coach, you've seen me play. Well, we see you play, but we don't know you as a person, And we'll have our players that'll help out with camp. And I tell you what, man, there's no secret there for mom and dads and players are watching. If your son, if he's acting his true self around the players but not around the coaches, I promise you, we send players, hey, go talk to that guy, we like him. And they'll come out, hey, good to like him. Now it's just this 10-minute interaction, but that's a huge piece of the puzzle. And for us too, we generally have, prior to COVID, we always have a guy come on campus before we offer, period. My first year here, we didn't do that. Once or twice and learn from that. And we always say, come on campus. That's the crazy in today's world where, we got high school freshmen getting offers. And they've never seen the campus, except for right. And I talked to some buddies that are in that world. They're like, man, don't like it. Other schools are doing it. We're not going to do it. But when we can get back out, we're still, hey, you committed at age 14 to a place you never set foot. They deadlines you 48 hours. Are you interested in school X? Because we want you to come see it. So, for me, I think camps are wonderful. We absolutely recruit summer tournaments. We absolutely, go to showcases. But if you have a school, like there's 3 or 4 schools you really like, you think there's a legitimate chance to play there, I highly recommend going to those. And you might, we had a really good player that committed to another school around here that we liked and we wanted, and he came to camp as a sophomore, and we loved him. Now, we don't offer sophomores. We were going to offer him his junior if he progressed, and talk to him at the right time. And Coach, I appreciate it, but just the more I thought about it, get on campus, just about his right feel for me. Hey, no problem. Hey, that's good. I'd rather you find that out at 16 than 19 or 20. So, yes, that question, again, it's an investment. If you got 3 or 4 schools specifically that you're interested in for a lot of reasons, get out, go see campus, man. And when camp's over, walk around campus, see what you think. We've had some players that we've recruited that's smart. We got smart families here. If we're doing something with the player, maybe with the team, and maybe we're not doing mom and dad that night, mom and dad would go around and walk campus, and they'll just talk to random students. So how about they're just grabbing a random, non-athlete, hey, tell me about that. So that's you might get an outlier answer, but you're probably gonna get some perspective that certainly as coaches we're not gonna have. And I thought that was really cool. So we kind of recommend parents doing that now because we want them to know what they're getting into.
I think what you just said the last few minutes, that's awesome information. A couple of nuggets I got from there. You can front in front of the coaches, but you know how it is. Sometimes kids, even though they're looking at if you're a sophomore and junior, you're looking at a Davidson baseball player and he's running through the camp, you may try to size him up and not really pay attention and what he's saying and all of that. And these guys, like you said, these guys know the vibe. They're like, can I have this guy as a teammate, or is he a jerk? He's going to be. They're going to come right back to you and tell you like, yeah, you may like this kid, but this kid's a jerk, or this kid doesn't whatever. So parents, just make sure in these camps, man, don't just have your kid freshen up when Coach Taylor's around, but and when everybody's around. I don't care if it's another school that you don't have no interest that's at this camp. Active because they all talk, man. That is a great message you just gave right there, Coach. All right. Lauren says, follow-up question: how is the roster going to shape up after COVID settles down and kids get back to school? 2021 kids took a beating with a dead period.
Yeah, good question. I think that's a really unfortunate thing in all this, and I'm a little bit of an outlier. I think if especially with some of these football not having it some places, I think the NCAA put themselves and really put schools in a tough place to say, hey, all spring sport athletes get a year back. I think there can be some good. I think you all of a sudden, if sports don't get played this year, you've really created some log jams. The big picture first, fortunately, the NCAA's changed the rule for this year. Division I baseball, there's no roster limit. So you could have 57 if you wanted to. For us, we're going to be 36 right now. We've got a couple guys that are going to try out, so we might be at 37, 38. But for us right now, it's 36. We had a couple guys say, Coach, I'm coming to Davidson regardless, can I try out? All right, sure. So we're at 36 also. Maybe we'll I think we had a guy, an All-American that came out of that about 4 or 5 years ago. Played pro ball with the Orioles for a couple of years. So certainly we're not going to say no to anybody that gives us a chance. I think there's some different thoughts right now. Is the NCAA going to allow a roster expansion in that 2022 season? I know there's some schools pushing for it because they brought in 20 guys this year, and that creates a little bit of a jam. So for us, we're always at that 35 mark, and this year's 36, a little bit different. So for us, our 2021 incoming class, so the guys that are high school seniors right now, we're only bringing in 7 guys. So it's a really small class. We've got 7 seniors leaving, so that 7 is going to replace 7. Our 2022 class will most likely be 8 or 9 guys, depending on a couple of things. Possibly 10 if somebody gets drafted or something happens early. So for us, I feel fortunate that we're not having to recruit a ton of guys right now during this unique time to do so. I do feel for the guys that are maybe were freshmen this year on rosters that are incoming, were freshmen last year, and all of a sudden you got all these older guys back, and it's tough. If you're at school just to play baseball and your identity's tied to being a baseball player, all of a sudden you're not playing. If you're not a social fit and academic fit, there's be some tough conversations that have to be had with the families. Big picture, I like the idea of the 35 limit for a few reasons. Maybe the NCAA goes to 37 or 38 to make it easier on some people. I would not be opposed to that at all. They changed the way you're able to do scholarships this year. Seniors can get some extra money. I would be all for extending that next year to allow those 5th years to continue to get baseball scholarship money. I think that's the right thing. So we're just in a unique situation not having graduate school. It's not something we're going to have to worry about. I know there's a couple of our guys that want to graduate transfer next year, and we've already started those helping those guys do so. So I hope the NCAA does the right thing with it, maybe gradually bring that roster size back down. But again, as I said maybe a couple of questions ago, do your homework, do your research. This year, the Division I roster, you might see 50 guys on a roster. That's great. Pull up that 2019 roster, that 2018 roster, it's still 35. Pull up the 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 recruits and see what your son, daughter, whoever it may be, is going to be going up against. You should have a better idea.
All right, great tip. All right, so Coach, I don't think we mentioned this yet. So, conference. All right, names. What conference are you guys in? What kind of competition, and then I want to kind of get into the Roman aspect. How many kids are at Davidson? And we talked a little bit. It sounds like a very high-level academic school, but I also want to start talking about pricing too. But let's start with the overall conference. What conference does Davidson play in?
So we're in the Atlantic 10. We're the southern.
Okay.
And we're the southernmost school, about 4 hours. So again, it's a geographic. We're all over the place. Which Davidson's highest alumni areas are Charlotte, which kind of makes sense. and then it's DC, Philly, and New York. So it's been great for the alumni base, and most of the men's and women's basketball tournaments are in that East Coast corridor. So we'll get some. And there's been some games we've had as just as many fans as the other team. We've had a lot of post-game meals at an aunt and uncle's house or mom and dad's house. So that's been really cool to have that. About half of our trips are busable. We jump on a plane for a couple of days. We fly once, maybe twice in a year. For me, man, for us, if we're a 3-game weekend, it's game. Man, I'm tired. Like that Friday night game, you're tired. Saturday. So for me, I don't do a ton of sightseeing unless we're doing something with the families. But man, some of our kids, they just got more energy than I do, and man, they get done. And like we've had some guys go check out some things in DC.
Awesome.
We had a great, man, I tell you what, we had Big Mike with Big Mike's not going to watch this with our charter bus company. Man, Mike's from the Bronx, so and he is awesome, man. Like Big Mike is the man. So he reported around DC. We had a good weekend, and we're leaving on Sunday, and we've got to go by the monuments and everything. And so Big Mike is, Coach, you go with this? Like, yeah, Mike, whatever we do. So he pulls up the speaker, man. It's just like this 10-minute, and guys are in tears. He's giving this tour about this and this and this and this, and hey, there's a good-looking girl over there. You always check that out. And it's Big Mike's downtown DC tour. So even just little stuff like that, where we get to travel and see some pretty cool places. It's been really nice. The league is a really good basketball league. If you think about what VCU's done the last decade, it seems like Dayton had an incredible year last year. Baseball-wise, there's some schools that have, Dayton being one of them, VCU, have done really, really well on the baseball side. There's some academics, like Richmond University is a school that's very academic as well. George Mason, good academic school. Fordham, George Washington, great academic school. St. Louis is also they're in the Midwest, and they've had a really good stretch. And then you get more to the Northeast, you've got like a UMass, LaSalle, St. Joe's, beautiful campus. St. Bonaventure, Rhode Island's been really successful.
Rhode Island, you guys are, and I mean to cut you off, but damn, you're way up in Rhode Island, and way over to St. Louis.
Yeah, how about that, huh? How about that? So we've had some games where, man, you fly up to the Northeast, and then all of a sudden you're back in the Midwest, and just seeing some different spots. For me being Southern guy, for me being at Sanford and Davidson, the same league, we're seeing a lot of different stuff. And I think leading the Southern Conference, maybe a little bit more of an offensive league, a little more dry roll oriented. There's a little more. Pretty much everybody's got a really, really good Friday night arm in our league, and most guys Saturday and Sunday are pretty good, if not really good. And everybody's got a couple of pin arms. We had a couple of teams that had some guys sign free agent this year that I think in a normal year are 6 to 10 round guys, and there's a couple of guys that came back, unfortunately, we're going to have to battle against next year. But especially the pitching league has been really, really surprisingly good and really competitive. And how it is, whether it's if you're AL East interconference or an SEC weekend or an A-10 weekend. I mean, you get that conference stuff, it's just a little bit different deal, man. The intensity rises, and you just want to play your best baseball. And it's a challenging league for sure.
Yeah, that is crazy, man. A-10 has always been known, especially growing up in New York. It was always the basketball conference, and the Temple, now they're not adding that, but back in the day it was the Temple, the UMasses, you know what I'm saying? And
I'm old enough to remember, when Cheney had that 2-3 matchup zone going, and I loved it was Coach K's college basketball on Sega Genesis. Right, so that's a throwback there. That was the coolest thing ever, man. Because back then, like, you would have had the internet and all stuff, and you get Sports Illustrated like once a week, and that was the coolest thing. My dad got it in his office, and he'd read what's everybody's done with it that week. So I'd read Sports Illustrated, and I read they had Felipe Lopez was on the cover, dude from St. John's, and he was on that Coach K college basketball game, man. So
was he really? He was a beast. He was a beast then, huh? Yeah.
Ron Mercer was on Kentucky.
Yeah.
Michigan was good, not great on that. But there's some fun. UCLA had like Ed O'Bannon and all those guys, and man, it was just.
That's when they won that money. That's when they won that lawsuit thing from those games.
He ruined it, man. Ruined
it. He was like, "I'm tired of y'all using my number, man." You know what I'm saying? And those are. Sad to say, those around my high school years, 94, 95, I graduated 96. So the Ron Mercer years and all of them, that was around my time graduating high school, man. Yeah. So
But Stephon Marbury's up that way too in New York, right?
Yeah, Steph was second fiddle to Felipe, man. Yeah, Felipe was the
Yeah.
man, man.
Yeah.
Felipe was all everything. Steph was like a close second, but yeah,
Yeah.
Felipe was the man during those times. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we got another one came in. Does a I'm sorry, ready to put that one up there. Another one. All right. I messed up. I went up too far. All right, so we go. We have this. Speaking of diversity, do y'all recruit or take recommendations from players at camps like the Breakthrough Series or Pro Youth Organization camps, mostly kids of color?
Yeah, so I think that's something that, if you look at what Vanderbilt and Michigan have done, I mean, they've really created a blueprint for going out and, finding the best players they possibly can. I think for us, I think with our shortstop in Hawaii, and I think that's maybe we were in a admissions meeting, and the guy who's responsible for covering Hawaii walks and goes, "Hey man, you're making me look really good." What are you talking about? He goes, "Man, that school that they, Jacobs' his name, the school that Jacobs having, that's an incredible school. You're making me look. We've got an application from there. That's impossible to get." I'm like, "Oh, okay, awesome." And,
Uh-huh.
our starting catcher last year, Asian American from Seattle. So I mean, I think for us, in the college, Davidson College as a whole, diversity is a huge part of this university. The college itself does an exceptional job of need-based aid. So every single application that we get, we have the parents fill out what's called the Davidson Net Price Calculator, and I believe every college and university by law has to have the net price calculator on their official website. So for us, it's just Google Davidson College Net Price Calculator. And that's generally about a 10-minute application process to figure out this looks like the financial aid we might be getting. Once we get a little bit further along the recruiting process, we really like it. We'll have them figure out the CSS profile, and that gets them like within $200 or $300 of what the college is going to give. So for us, I think we're really fortunate in that socioeconomic backgrounds maybe don't play quite as much of a picture for us because the college does such an exceptional job with need-based financial aid for the families. The Ivy Leagues, I think, are very similar to that. I don't know if our need-based packages are quite as good as they are, but I think that's something that all families, we always start, hey, let's go through this. Let's see what you're able to get to help make Davidson affordable. I think that's really the mission of the college, is to provide our education to everyone. And I think that's the way it should be. I think it's kind of a common sense thing. But I think Davidson truly put the money where its mouth is, because it's a huge investment by the college to give. I think it's over. You can Google different things. You pull up the websites, more or less. Most years, it's right around 50% of all students are receiving need-based financial aid. And within that, the average number, again, depending on the year, I've seen anywhere from year 25 to year all the way to like 38,000. So there's a lot of need-based aid given out. Now, the college is really, really tough on merit-based aid. So if you've got a 34 ACT, some schools are saying you automatically get 10 grand. Bam, congrats. Davidson, congrats, you're above normal, but you're not getting a lot. So I think that's something, if you're looking at Davidson specific, every single application is automatically read for those merit-based scholarships.
Okay.
Every application goes through the need-based financial aid process. So that's a really important piece for us. And we're really fortunate on the athletic side to have an administration, have a college that believes in, hey, if you're able to do the work here, if you fit this college, we're going to help mom and dad, grandparents, whoever it is, we're going to help them allow you to be here. I think it's something that I've really been more aware of in my time here. And I think there's a lot of students that are making sacrifices or failing there making sacrifices to be here. And, we've got, some guys that have been here since I've been here that, it was tough on mom and dad. There's no doubt about it. We had a player that we made him a baseball offer on top of his need-based aid. His father's a big old tough, strong guy, country guy, good guy. And the father literally started crying because he was that excited that he was able to afford his son to go where his son wanted to go. So I think that's a really cool thing. So again, long answer to that question. Yes, absolutely. I think our college wants us doing those type of things. And I think it's something for us. We just got to find the best players. And I think if you're looking big picture, we wanted to win games. We want our guys to be successful on the field, obviously. But man, as you said earlier, 90+ of the guys, they're not going to be professional baseball players. They're not going to make their long-term living. Even if they are, I mean, if they walk out here bad people, if they don't know how to interact in different cultural environments, we're not really doing our job. That's something I think is an ongoing education for everyone. And I think our program certainly, wants to help be a positive in that. And we want our guys leaving here good people. So, long answer to your question, yeah, absolutely. And I think most colleges are there's some resources to help, the right students that want to be at that college university to help on the financial side of it.
All right. We talk about the financial. I mean, getting financial aid, but what is the overall pricing to go to school in and out of state?
So yeah, man, it's crazy. And we are about $70,000 this year, and it's obviously it's expensive. Yeah. It's expensive. There's no doubt about it. I think there's a lot of you do your research on Kiplinger's, on Forbes, U.S. News and Reports. Davidson's a consistently one of the top liberal arts colleges in the country. And also, where I think support. Man, my dad's a CPA. My mom's was an elementary school teacher. We're one of the most best bang for your buck, most valuable schools. So for me, man, and my wife hates it sometimes, but hey, if I'm gonna go spend $10, I want to get my value out of that $10.
Right.
We've done some quarantine projects around the house, and man, I've put in lights, I've put in a toilet, I've changed some sink fixtures. I got the quote from the handyman, and I'm paying that guy $200.
You gotta exert some of that energy somewhere, huh?
I'll Google it. So, for that being said. The college, I think the college does an exceptional job of on-campus, in-person learning, which was obviously changed last spring. And that's part of the reason we're back is there's a lot of students that really want to be back. I think there's a lot of faculty, a lot of staff here that really care about the individual. And not saying other places don't do that. Absolutely there are. But I think there's a really cool community vibe here. I think people want to have independent, forward-thinking. I think it's a great place for that. So there's definitely some families that have to strain financially. There's no question about that. But I think the college meets a 100% demonstrated need. That package, there's no loans as part of that package. So if a family gets $35,000 from the college, there's no loan in that. It's $35,000. It's yours. You don't have to pay it back. So that's a really cool dynamic for us. We're very fortunate that the college believes in that as strongly as they do. There's some other schools. We were the first school to do that, is my understanding. I think it was about
in the whole country.
In the whole country. I think it's about 11 years ago, somewhere around that. And now the Vanderbilts do that. The Ivy Leagues are doing that. It's something I think it's really taken off. But we were, I believe, the first school to be need blind and meet 100% of demonstrated needs, which is really cool. So to answer that question, man, it's an investment. There's no doubt about it. I think our guys, they're challenged daily here, and not just baseball. And there's some days you can see when they get close to exams, man, it's a lot going on up there. I think it's our job as coaches is to be able to put an arm around them. Sometimes, hey, we might shorten practice a little bit. You can tell that those guys are spent. And I think there's some honest communication between them and us. We trust them. Maybe ask some orders, hey, how are you guys collectively doing right now? Do we need to back off a little bit today? And sometimes, hey, we had this was stressful. We need to get out here and play, and we're good. So I think it's an open dialogue there. But I think, back to that original question, it's about $70,000. The need-based aid is incredible. And I think, man, it's crazy. I heard you talking to another coach about getting fifth-year guys back. We've got 3 guys that'll be playing other schools next year as graduate transfers, and we've got a couple of guys in law school. We had one guy actually turned down a $95,000 job, starting out at $95,000 to go play extra year college baseball. Like, great for him. I don't.
Right.
You can't get those years back, but
right.
It's really cool. My first year here was 2013. We had our senior day at the end, and I knew these guys were doing a ton of things on campus. And senior day, you read all, hey, these are their stats, these are what they did on campus, and we had a guy that started the investing club on campus. We had guys who were just doing and I just went, he did what? I didn't know it had one. So point that without us having to mandate anything, we've got a lot of guys that do a lot. And it's really cool to see. And we might do a few more things collectively as a team this year, just because the COVID opportunities might be a little bit less. We're trying to do hopefully do some virtual things with some local youth in the area. But man, it's amazing what our guys are doing on campus in the community. And talking to a guy yesterday from Miami that's girlfriend's in vet school at Auburn, so he's visiting Auburn University for the first time. And both my parents went there, so I grew up, big Auburn fan, Auburn football, loved it. And he said, "Hey, man, I see why you like this place. This is great." And he's because, "Hey, I just got that job I really wanted to." He's back in a great, I think it's a 6-figure job investing at 26 in Miami. And we got some guys, not just financially, man, that is what it is, but some guys that are doing kind of what they want to do at a young age. And man, there's not a lot of people get to say that. So I think people that know of Davidson know the value of the degree. And like a lot of people, man, didn't know about Davidson until I got to Samford University. And this Steph Curry guy's coming to play at Samford. And probably the first time at Samford ever had a sellout basketball game. I remember we went, and okay, so that's Davidson. We started playing in the league, and this is a really beautiful campus, beautiful area, and man, it's a great education. So there's a lot of positives. I guess it's not a cheap price tag, no doubt about that.
Right.
There can be a lot of value for the people that value that sort of thing, and want to put in the work to get that degree.
Couple of things. I mean, we didn't mention. You've been hinting about it, and I should have let off with it. But Steph is one who kind of really made Davidson. Steph Curry, for guys listening. I mean, I'm sure, especially basketball fans, know that Steph came from Davidson and put it on the map. But did they make it to the Final Four that year when he was there? Or I know definitely the Final 8, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's the Elite 8. I think it's the Elite 8. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if Wisconsin got them or they beat Wisconsin in the Sweet 16. I think Georgetown went down at some point during that. But man, you see it's crazy. I mean, we're getting older, man. You see the uniforms now, and like the uniforms are just bigger, and the guys didn't look quite as athletic. And I saw the 2006 College World Series. That's the year I graduated, and man, the uniforms are like baggy.
Yeah, right.
The batting gloves don't quite fit as well.
Right.
Things have gotten better.
No doubt.
The kids are getting more athletic, and it's crazy.
No doubt about it. I got a couple questions, Coach, on top, and let me get this one question in. Mark says, "What is a typical baseball offer? I know it's an expensive school, so how does the baseball program contribute, and how many spots are generally available to each year at Davidson?"
Yeah, so good question. So and this is good. This is good for every school. The NCAA changed this summer. I think it's a great rule. So we'll say School X is $100,000 a year to go to. So if School X is $100,000 and you were to get $50,000 in need-based aid, so 50%, that money doesn't count towards the 11.7 that Division I's are allowed at all. The rule used to be if you got that $50,000 of need-based aid and baseball gave you $25,000, all of a sudden that counts as 0.75 towards your 11.7. What the NCAA changed this year is if you get that 25,000, so 25%, all of a sudden that only counts as 0.25 instead of 0.75. So a great rule. I think some schools like us, academic, that have need-based aid, it helps. A Tulane, a Vanderbilt, a Rice, a Duke. Right. I think it helps some of those private schools. For us, first and foremost, it's always going to be need-based aid. We're not fully funded. So the Division I maximum is 11.7.
Oh, you're not fully funded?
Yeah, we're not. So how about this? We had 2017. We went to our super regional, first one in school history. We had 2.3 something scholarships that year. So we had some good things come together. We had a family that was really inspired by that and has been generous several times. And I think a couple of families came together, and we are now above 2.3, but we are nowhere close to fully funded. So, for us, if we give, $10,000, that's a commitment from us without a doubt. I don't think we've ever gone over half with a person. And there's been some rare instances where maybe we had a guy come back for a 5th year that was on a lot of need-based aid. That need-based aid doesn't exist a lot of times in the 5th year. So we made a huge investment, and we've done that a couple of times, I guess, for that 5th year for some people. But for us, $10,000, $15,000, that's a pretty good offer from our standpoint. And, a lot of times if there's some families that, maybe get a couple extra $1,000 their junior or senior year, we try to do that. That's been something that we try to do to help out those families as we can. But at the same token, we're maybe a little bit different from some places in that if we say, hey, you're going to get $15,000 a year for 4 years, period. If you come in and you hit 080 and you field 840 and you don't play the second half of the year, that next year you're still going to get that same scholarship amount. Same token, if you come in and you're on $5,000 and you're a freshman All-American, I don't expect to get a phone call from dad saying, "Hey, Johnny, All-American, we need to do this." So we try not to negotiate with it. I just, baseball, man, you hit a couple balls hard, they fall, you look great, especially over 50-something games, man. We're kind of seeing that in pro ball, right? Major leagues.
Right.
We're not going to bait you. There's not, hey, you hit $300 so it's going to go off. So
exactly.
We try with baseball money, we try to make it where that's where the family wants to be. We try to help out as best we can. And we rarely, I've got some buddies at other places that, they're fully funded and, School X offered them, 35%, so we got to up ours to 40 now. We just don't. We've had some families that try to, hey, School X just offers this. Hey, congrats. We offered you 10. It's still 10. We like it. We can't go with that tree out there and find that other 20,000.
I was going to ask. I literally, when my question before Mark asked that question, I was going to ask, but now I kind of see it really does. It does, but it doesn't. But I was like, how does going to a Vanderbilt and being around a high academic school like that help you? When it comes to recruiting at Davidson, because I didn't know all the academic. I didn't know about Davidson. I'm learning. That's the beauty of the show. But when you just tell me the amount of scholarships that I'm like, then I can't even ask that question because it's not even. You can't compare. It's apples and oranges. Because
It is, but it is. It's a different deal, and they do a great job with need-based aid. That makes some of their coaches mad. But they're doing everything that's allowed, and they work, man. Like those guys, and Brownie and Bax and Macias are there, and know those guys, and Coach Gordon's been there the whole time, and Coach Baggage before him, and Juice that's at Tulane right now. Coach Johnson's with the Reds. Coach Holiday that's at Oklahoma State. They've had some really good people come through there, and if you're not the standard they have that Coach Corbin sets, he's going to hire somebody else, man, because he's going to find somebody that's unlike him. So I think for me, from a recruiting perspective, we've always gone to their camps, so that's a great resource for us there to be able to see their guys there. If we need information on guys that's been in their camp, they're great about providing it. If we're out watching games in the summer, hey, I saw this guy, I want to check this out. Or, hey, let me introduce you to this coach. If you guys got that, Vanderbilt V on, it's sometimes they make a connection there that they're going, Davidson, and I haven't heard Davidson. Well, we're a pretty good little school ourselves. So I think there's certainly a resource there, but it's just how they go about it, man. Their players get better. They go about things the right way, how they practice. They call it training. There's a lot you can really emulate there. I do think we're in a similar boat in that we're a great academic school. I mean, if you look at a lot of the rankings, some Vanderbilt's a little bit ahead of Davidson, some Davidson's a little bit ahead of Vanderbilt. They've got a little bit bigger campus. They have a graduate school there, so you have a few more students on campus. But there's some similarities, man. It's they're obviously right outside of Nashville, basically in Nashville. We're right outside of Charlotte. Geographically, they're actually a slightly bit higher north than we are, so it's a similar climate. They've obviously they've kind of become the program a lot of people want to be. So we're certainly trying to get to that level. Certainly not there yet, but I think on a smaller scale, if you look at recruiting really good people, investing in them, trying to get them better as people and as athletes. There's some carryover there. Now we're not worried about the draft with 7 or 8 of our guys at signees every year that they are, but we're still getting, I think, a pretty high level of athlete and a really good kid. And I think that just goes back to that. You got to get good people in the program. And I think I told you earlier about the players evaluating you on campus at camps. When I was sophomore. They started really at freshman. They started bringing in guys, and we'd host them as individuals. And they tell us, hey, if y'all don't like this guy, let us know. In our freshman year, there's guys who say, hey, this isn't a fit. And they said, oh, we're still going to sign him. And that guy transferred a year later. And we're like, hey, I told you. So they started listening to us a little bit more like that. So that's something we've kind of taken with us. And it's just a part of the bigger picture. So, yes, it's to say we're at that level now. I was talking to Baxter the other week, and they're worried about some things that are just that maybe 2% of the college baseball world was worried about, and that's what he was spending his day on. So it's some similarities for sure, and they're great. They're great people.
All right. Yeah, they Russ says, do you play Duke, NC State, or UNC? And how does Coach Fox retiring affect college baseball in North Carolina?
Yeah. So Coach Fox was always really good at Coach Cook and I. That 20 probably sore subject for him. That 2017 regional we won was in Chapel Hill, and
Nice.
you're not expecting to lose a home regional, much less to us. But we played them that year, and we were actually up. We were up 6-3 in the ninth with 2 outs, 2 strikes, nobody on base, and we lost. Yeah. So they went like 4 consecutive hits and just
What?
so that was
But you had the confidence knowing that, man, we pretty
yeah
much we 1 strike away
yeah.
from winning the game.
So that was a great thing for us. And, we went in there and played really well that weekend, obviously. But he was gracious in that. We played them, I guess, 2 years ago, or last year in 2019. It was my first year as the head coach. And he was awesome to me, very welcoming. And we had some weather issues over there, and he was great. And sometimes coaches with weather, you can tell they're trying to game get a one up, and he was awesome about it. So, Coach Forbes, Scott, that's been there for a while now, as his assistant. I think he's done a great job. There's a lot of people that wanted him to have that opportunity to be the head coach, and I think the expectation is he's going to do a great job. But, yeah, for us, we play UNC pretty much every year, South Carolina pretty much every year, Wake Forest home and home every year, and Duke home and home every year. NC State's been a couple years since we played them. Coach Avan actually wanted to come over a couple years ago. We couldn't figure out a date to make work. And then their pitching coach, Clint Chrysler, was at Winthrop, is a good friend. So that's somebody we surely want to get back, play them a little more frequently. But some really good baseball there. Coach Pollard at Duke is a Davidson alum. So he's got an interest in playing us every year. Brett Beretti, who's at Columbia University, is also a Davidson alum. And we've got them on the schedule for 2022. So it's pretty cool having so many Davidson people around to play those guys. But that's a home and home every year with Duke and Wake. And, Wake's an hour. Duke's, a little bit under 2. We typically play in the minor league park at Duke, and we've had our last couple of Duke games have been at the BB&T down in Charlotte. And man, it was, you obviously didn't know at the time, but our last game of the year, we actually probably played our best game of the year, and Duke had a great team last year. And we hit a 1-out, 2-run homer in the bottom of the ninth to walk them off, in the minor league park. And it was a senior that hit it. And so just, it's a cool. We didn't know it was the last game of the year.
Right.
But it was just, they had just beat Florida State 2 out of 3, and they brought we knew we were playing well because they brought their closer in the 8th, and he had thrown twice that weekend. So it's kind of like, man, we got a shot. These guys.
Right.
He got a really good slider. We hung one to a lefty, and we had to walk off. And as I said, nights treat you so well. We hung out for about an hour in there. Guys had the food, and we were talking cell phone, texting. That's a really cool memory to have. And who knew it would be the last competition of the year, but just a great memory. And again, the Knights do such a wonderful job with that. And Duke wanted to play down there because that's the ACC was going to be ACC baseball tournament was going to be hosted in Charlotte last year. So that's something I hope we can always play down there, at least one game. And then there's Kannapolis is a great minor league park that just got redone. And Hickory, North Carolina also is a great facility. I think they're in the Rangers organization. And
the Rangers now?
Last year, we're hoping to get into Kannapolis moving forward. And just give fans in those areas come out and see baseball. And I think the Duke staff and really all the staff we just mentioned, they like playing at those places and be an option for us moving forward.
Good deal, man. Yeah, you got baseball throughout there between minor league parks, big league parks, and and the college, man. You got some really nice fields out there, man. Russ says, "Are you sponsored by Under Armour?"
We are. That's the Steph Curry effect there. No questions. It's I think we're about 5 or 6 years into this deal, and it's been great. 6 years ago, it was every sport kind of fend for yourself, and we actually got a shipment of Under Armour masks. All of our guys have had those masks.
Nice.
So it just it's been a really good deal, and I've been pleasantly surprised with their baseball products. I think our guys have really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they Yeah, I know you guys are big time now with the signing and stuff, and you're big time when you're getting Davidson Under Armour face masks, man. You made it.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think we're going. But I got a question. Enrollment. I don't think you told me. I know it doesn't sound like a big school, but I don't know if you said it. I want to make sure.
It's right about 2,000, and they are. I think with COVID right now, they're just gonna be a little bit under that on campus. So it's definitely. I think it's something where our guys feel like they recognize a lot of people. I was thinking they're getting bored out of their minds, and I know everything about everybody. It's like it's high school, but We've really never had that feeling. I think that goes through our recruiting process, and we get guys in that feel like this is the right fit for them. But we get a lot more when parents come to visit, when players come to visit. We get a lot more. Oh wow, this is a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Versus wow, this is not that big. And again, the campus is sprawling. I think being in a town gives it some depth also. But it's a walkable campus. People complain here about parking like at every school, but parking's not bad here at all. I promise you that. But it's a little bit under 2,000. And the town of Davidson itself, I think it's about 13 or so thousand now is what they say. So it's a good little field. But then again, you go Huntersville to the south, Mooresville to the north, and you're getting, it's not downtown New York City, but it's plenty of people floating around.
All right, let's go here. Last question that came in. Are you having a full prospect camp, or are you all closing? UNC going on all online starting today.
So we start class on the 20th, which is Thursday, and we've got students have the option of being virtual from home. There's a hybrid option, which means some in person, some online, and it can also be in person on class. So we've got a couple guys whose parents have some health issues, and they're staying at home for the fall, which zero issue with that. I think every single professor here has made all of their classes available to students online. So it's a heck of an effort by them. Very commendable for them. Commend them for doing that. The college, I think, put a ton of effort into making everything accessible to everyone, regardless of what their situation is, which I think is the right thing to do, but not an easy thing to do. So we are, I think, given our size, given our commitment to being on campus for the educational piece, I think the college is very confident that we can, do every possible step to make this as safe as possible for return. Does that mean it's going to be perfect? Probably not, but obviously I think we're doing everything feasible to make it. I think there's a desire from the students to be here because for us, baseball specific. Hey, if you guys don't want to come back for the fall, your roster spot's still there. If you're on scholarship, it's still there. Zero issue. Again, we've had two guys that chosen not to because of family reasons. Parents wanted them to. No problem. So we will be back. Hopefully, it goes well. And then as of right now, the NCAA is not letting Division I schools have camps until at least after next month. So hopefully they open it back up in the fall. Division III schools can right now if their specific school allows them. The rumor is Division II will be opening up in about a month or so. We're hopeful that maybe we join when Division II does. If not, maybe it's a little bit longer than that. So nothing planned right now, but we hope to do something once the NCAA allows us to really evaluate guys.
All right, and there you have it there. Coach, man, been a pleasure, man. Learned a lot about Davidson. Didn't know you in the A10. Didn't know it was 2000. Didn't know the price of it.
Yeah.
Definitely. What are some of the other things? Some of the nuggets, man. I love when you talk about the coaches as far as the players talking to you, relating messages back to you. Man, it's a few. I got to go back and listen to, but I appreciate the message that you give. But I always ask my guests, I need one more. I need you to kind of close this out. All right. You're coming on an hour and 15 minutes. All right. I want you to give us a good message, man, to lead us out here, man, as we close this out today, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was probably 10 or 11, I went to Tulane's campus. Rick Jones, who's now he's retired in Wilmington, and Jim Schlossnagel was the pitching coach there. He's now the very successful head coach at TCU. But we had a meeting, said, hey, there's a program for everybody, right? There's a program for everybody. And, man, I want to get up. I would love to play pro ball, man. I didn't get to do it. There's probably some guys that would love to play at Vanderbilt, and I had that opportunity. It was great. Right. I do believe there's a program for everybody. I truly believe that. And for me, college, there's definitely guys that come to college, they're going to be big leaguers. You're going to school because you're going to be a big leaguer. But for me, if you're not going to make your living off being a big leaguer, then find a place that you feel comfortable, that's going to challenge you. And if baseball becomes not an option for some reason, if you get hurt, we had a guy from New Jersey towards UCL in high school, still kept his spot. He didn't take a spot from him. Came here, never threw a pitch over 83. Coach, I can't get anybody out. I love it, but I'm going to give up my spot so somebody can use it. We stayed in school, finished the year early. He's going to engineering graduate program. He actually was part of our CAT stats program and helped us do he's basically our head scouting director. using synergy and some pretty cool stuff. Did a great job.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
the point of that being is, you want to be an athlete forever, no doubt. I wish I could still play. I told somebody if I could dunk a basketball, I'd be in the gym right now and just dunking. I'd have the headphones and I'd be dunking right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. So at some point, athletes can be gone, but it's those experiences. What are you learning from that college experience? And it doesn't have to be the same thing for everybody. If you're the best player in your high school team, and you know what, you don't want to play college baseball. If that's not what you want to do, do what you want to do, but use what you're doing to get the best education you can. It doesn't have to be a Davidson, but use it where you're going to set yourself up for what's going to come after college. Enjoy it, but use it such a. And that's the thing. Don't be so caught up on I've got to commit to school X because it's school X. Find what's the best fit for you, and that's the most important thing, man. And if some school you've never heard of in South Dakota is the best fit for you, go to that school in South Dakota. And I'd say jokingly, but find the fit for you and ask questions, man. You got that message up there right now, man. Find people that care about you as a person. Use them to help. I truly think, man, there's a lot of good people in this world that want to help young adults, man. They want to help kids because they were helped by somebody because they had a good experience. And I'm guessing that's why you're doing this, man. You want to help kids. I'm doing this because I want to recreate the great experience I had in college for others. I want to make them better. I want to, So find a fit for you. Get around good people. Let good people help you.
Good deal, man. Hey, great message, man. And he's basically saying, and I did this. I mean, we're talking years ago, but certain schools that look good outside looking in, and then until I got to the campus, I knew right away, like, this ain't for me. Yeah. And you got to experience it. And he also, great message he had earlier is like, don't be committed to schools. It don't make sense not to commit to a school that you've never been to. Yeah. All right. And I just talked today, Coach, real fast, and I'm gonna get out of here. My daughter went to she practices here in an academy here in tennis, and she was telling me today one of the girls who just left for the Naval Academy is back. They closed it down, but she said she's not going back, and she said she took a visit there. Thought she would like it, and our Naval Academy is an extreme. You know what I'm saying? That's one of those schools that's definitely not for everybody. But I asked my daughter, I was like, didn't she go there? Like, how would she know she didn't like it? She was like, yeah, she said it was very different when she got there around everybody and started taking classes. She said she knew by the third day that she had made a mistake. And so she's not going to go back to school there, at least at Naval Academy. Obviously, she's smart and can kind of go multiple places. But, these things happen. And, so it's a conscious effort. And this girl's been to that campus and took the recruiting trips and all of that. So if she's done all of that and still went there and didn't like it, think about, what coach is telling you. He's saying, yo, how can you commit to a school that you've never been to? All right. Even though it may look good on paper, but if you've never been there, how you know you're going to like that school? So I thought that was a great message, Coach. So, all right. So remember, masterclass starting in a couple weeks from today. All right. Couple weeks. So, I'm definitely sign up for it. We also, tomorrow, we're going to be joined by University of Tennessee head coach, all right, Tony Vitello is coming on tomorrow. Going to the SEC, going to your old roots, Coach. You know what I'm saying? To the SEC, man. So, so be here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. All right, we got Coach of University of Tennessee, Tony Vitello, coming on, and we're gonna keep this knowledge rolling. Hey, listen, brother, it's been a pleasure, Coach Teller. I mean, we need to talk on the background, and especially if you open up that campus over there and see what we got going on, man. I love to come out there. I always love the Charlotte. I only been out there a few times, the Charlotte area, but beautiful country out there, beautiful out there. I tell you, my sister's up the road up there in Durham a little bit, but my nephew went to UNC Charlotte, then transferred to Johnson E. Smith down in Charlotte. So I would visit him years ago now, but it's good city, man. So I appreciate you coming on, Coach, and I thank you so much, man. Like I said, we'll be in touch. So parents, 4 p.m. tomorrow, we keep this knowledge and this ball rolling. We'll have a great week set up. We got every day this week with coaches coming on. All right. And Coach said he's seen the schedule, man. We are booked through first week of September now, I think. At least the middle of first week of September, which is college coaches coming on, man. So we doing this thing all for you guys. All right. So sign up for that master class. So I could, give you these tips and stuff and bunch them all in just like coaches gave you. I write these tips down. I write them. You see me going like this, Coach. I write what you say. I write them down, man, because they're valuable. Coming from straight from what you're looking for, what you can what your experience is playing and now coaching and recruiting and stuff like that. So I think that's awesome, man, and I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure doing it. You're doing a great service, and parents put in your research, use guys like D, and just be around good people, and it's a lot of positives can come from sports, no doubt about it.
Good deal. I'm gonna leave it at that. Parents, 4 p.m. tomorrow. See you guys then. Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely, thank you.